colada part. I think and I got this because it says woman owned.
Nice.
All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're
Live for 5 seconds.
All right.
Live for 5.
Yeah, it was just just drinking this woman owned. Woman owned.
Gotta
a
buy
lot
it.
of
Gotta
a lot
support.
of colada. Buzz balls, woman owned. So yeah, I like to get a lot of woman owned stuff and bring women guests on here. So I'm not
It's nice.
considered a
Gotta
sexist.
support it, right?
Appreciate that. Thank you. It's a pleasure
But
to be here.
if you know women, you're not considered sexist.
Well, I'm
right?
looking for
Because you know a few women.
I was looking for the woman-owned cigarettes too. I didn't see any of those.
Oh, Haley, have you thought about that?
Because they're the woman-owned alcohol.
I would
Yeah.
have to learn how to not sleep if I wanted to start that venture. I'm on my way to learning how to not sleep, but I still got a
Barry
lot of work
Manilow
to
only
do.
sleeps 4 hours a day.
He's old enough to take the long sleep.
I'm on
pretty
4 hours
soon.
of sleep right now, so
Yeah.
we're tracking.
Wow,
We're pretty
you have a
even.
good vibe.
Thank you.
That makes you creative, you know.
It does.
It's like
Yeah.
lack of sleep makes you creative. It also gives you sleep apnea, which can roll over into a myriad of other things, obesity and things.
Well,
But
Mark
right now you're in the
Clifford,
creative
are you,
mode.
Right now,
You're in the creative mode.
I am. I'm
Are you
living my
sleep
best creative life.
apneatic?
You know, well, you know about the stroke I had.
Yeah.
A
Okay,
big,
yeah,
big
we'll talk
stroke
about it. Yeah,
I
yeah.
had on Labor Day, a massive stroke that I'm recovering from, and in the process of that, I found out that I had severe sleep apnea. So now I have the CPAP, which is like it's like a
That is. So you do have.
it's like an
sleep
old
apnea.
sea name. It's like a sea dog name. Arg! I got the CPAP. Hey, CPAP.
But you're a Marine. You weren't in the Navy.
Yeah.
So,
So
Should be CPAPy.
yeah, CPAPy. I got the CPAPy.
so it's in that area of serving our
Yeah, I
country.
mean,
so
oh, for sure. I mean, a guy like me never should have had a stroke. I was in perfect condition, and I had a massive stroke. Fortunately, I was able to determine exactly what was happening when it was happening. I didn't freak out. I just told my wife, I'm having a stroke. Let's get to the hospital, and got all the care I needed, and still in kind of the recovery process. But yeah, it's quite something. So I mean, tell you what, learn your high risk groups and learn the signs for stroke, and don't mess around with it. You know, one of the statistics, and here's my endorsement. You know, my community message is that if you see it coming, don't mess around with it. Get out there and take care of it. You know, so that's what I turned my misfortune into something more fortunate.
So how do you know you're having one? You go numb, or-
Yeah, well, for me, and I had probably all the precursors. I had double vision. I lost all my ability to read stuff, and it was just the classic experience. But you know, I could have went back to sleep and said, hey, everything's fine. You know, it happened early in the morning.
And then you could have died.
Could have died. Yeah. So you know, massive stroke, quick action, and got the care that I need. So still on the road to recovery. But
Yeah, if you get a stroke, don't go back to sleep. I mean,
don't go back to sleep.
Is it pretty easy to do that?
Oh yeah, you can dismiss it as something. I mean,
Jeez.
sadly, is that somebody
You haven't had one,
experiences?
Haley, right?
Yeah, a lot of healthy people are having.
Because I
now.
guess it doesn't matter on age. Right?
It doesn't matter on age. It's just there's a real spike in people who are thriving that are having strokes, and one of the reasons why I really wanted to get this stroke message out is that somebody experiences a stroke in America once every 40 seconds, and most people don't know what to do in the event of a stroke or what the signs of a stroke are, and sadly enough, to compare it. Once every 40 seconds in the United States, somebody commits suicide. We know a lot about suicide prevention, but not a lot about stroke prevention. So, you know, if you talk to your doctors, find out if you're in a high risk group, and know those signs of stroke, and don't mess around with it, because once you think you're having a stroke, there's a window of maybe 2 hours before you can get in there and get the medication that can reverse the damage.
Yeah, I mean that's got to be tough for someone like you who's got all these skills.
Yeah.
And
That's my
and then
public
you-
service announcement.
Well, and can we add to it? Do you mind if I jump in?
Yeah.
You know, it's about be fast, right? Isn't it called be fast?
Yeah.
Balance and loss for B. Eye changes, look for eye changes. Face drooping, arm weakness, speech difficulty, and then it's time to call 911.
Oh.
So if you remember that acronym, the B fast.
Yep.
You should be able to spot those signs in a loved one when it's happening.
Mm-hmm. And fortunately for me, I spent 27 years as a police officer, so I knew exactly what to look for, and it didn't hesitate. I mean, I didn't freak out, didn't panic. I was just like to my wife when she handed me a piece of paper and says, "Hey, do you still need this?" And I'm looking at the piece of paper and I'm going, I have no idea what this says.
Oh.
And so that.
So you recognized it first.
Yeah, immediately. And I was no sooner, I mean, even though you're having a stroke and you lost all your memory, you can still remember how to tie your shoes. So I tied my shoes and got in the car, and I knew that we would be at the hospital quicker than if I called 911. Right. And I knew that because that was on Labor Day, and we also had a baby on Labor Day 25 years ago, and we drove in there during he was almost born in the back of that car, and I knew that I could get to the hospital quicker than 911 on a day like today. So it all worked out. I had a lot of great people in my corner, and found out what the cause was, and still kind of working on that.
Must feel kind of trapped in your own body though.
You know what, Luke, is that when I was sitting there and knew what was going on, I was cursing my body. I mean, my body had been my machine all through the Marine Corps, all through law enforcement for almost 40 years. I mean, I worked on this thing to get me through, and it was failing me, and I go, man. But thank God for modern medicine and where I was, because if I was in the middle of nowhere or didn't have access to the great people at Kaiser Walnut Creek, it would have been disastrous.
My mind just keeps going back to thank goodness you followed through. Just thank goodness you took action.
And that's the message. Get out there.
And I'm glad you weren't your typical guy, and I'm talking from the heart right here going, I'm just fine. I'll just shake this off. Rub a little dirt on it. Let's go.
And sadly enough, is it when I put out there and made it public that I had this stroke, and I put the post out on it, if you want to read more about the incident, if you go on my website, it's called the day my brain took an unauthorized coffee break, and it talks about the incident. It's also an audio for people who don't like to read, and I write down the precursors for a stroke, and I just wish everybody the best, because there are a lot of people who I know who came out and said, yeah, I had a stroke, or this person had a stroke, and they're not following up on it. They're not changing their lifestyle choices. And for me, is that I read when I was going through the whole process that if you lose 10% of your body weight, it can relieve a lot of like the AFib and sleep issues. And like the sleep issues for me, I thought it was just PTSD. I mean, it's like I've lived with this for so many years, and then I found out, oh no, you have severe sleep apnea, and I don't snore. So out of all the tests that I got, the test that I would recommend to anybody is get a sleep apnea test, because you may associate that with people who are overweight or snore or something like that, but no.
So it's not just if you're snoring?
No, it's not.
You can actually be just from literally stop breathing. It's almost like you're holding your breath.
How about this? How many times an hour do you think I stop breathing on my sleep apnea test?
I'm just gonna say 5.
I'm gonna say more than that.
Go ahead, pick a number.
17.
Because you're gonna win some candy if you win. You're gonna win the recess peanut.
We're gonna stop your heart. And you know how many times.
Luke, take a guess.
I was gonna say 0, but I'll go for 8. Just to
32 times an hour. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to clap
for
that.
I
don't want to clap
You're
for
so
that
excited.
But I'm excited to win. Yeah.
and so now that I got the CPAP,
this is without going over.
I just feel like,
I'm down to 1 with the CPAP. So
wow.
And they're not noisy. They're not noisy. And I tell you, the only reason I'm talking about this is because I know it can save lives. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, it's a good story to tell others. Yeah, because I feel like I would have died. Well, because the man in me would have been like, I'm gonna go back to sleep.
Exactly.
I'll get rid of this. I don't need to go to the hospital.
And with my
stroke,
you
said 2 hours.
Yeah,
you could die.
I was in there, probably administered the medication well under an hour. They really swung into action. It was really great. But you have to look at, I would have been permanently paralyzed, to be the least. Had no memory, lost my entire memory, because I lost my memory. I was struggling just to remember my wife and kids' names. Yeah, and within minutes. And so, it was just crazy. It was crazy.
So at the point, you just knew there were people around. They weren't
That's pretty
your
much
wife
it.
and kids at the moment.
They were like holding up a pen, and I was like, I don't know. I just didn't have the ability because what it did, it
You just
lodged.
knew someone was in front of you. Did you even know that was a pen?
I do now.
Someone was in.
Pen, everybody, pen. I do now.
Yeah.
But then I didn't, and so it was just really bizarre knowing that you know what it is, but you don't have the way to the means of communicating it, because what happens, a blood clot got lodged behind the memory communication part of my left part of my brain, which paralyzed the right side of my body.
Of course,
crosses over, and the onset of this was just a matter of minutes. You
were talking about a precursors. What were some of the ones that you manifested in you?
Well, the precursors, the signs of the stroke, you nailed it.
Right.
Those were all me. But, obesity, drug and alcohol use, all those.
Hold on, you almost got a bingo out of me. Keep going.
High blood pressure.
Yeah.
I had high blood pressure and I thought my high blood pressure was just, years of having a stressful job. But underlying killer, just like they tell people, is these are underlying killers. And but if you go back and you take care of all those things, it reduces your likelihood of stroke. I didn't even have high cholesterol. Baseline, I was in perfect health. Perfect health. And
I was going to say, before you looked like you were, like your weight was right on. Now you actually look a little too thin for me.
I'm a little gout.
You are a little thin for me, but I meant that you look nice and healthy, and because you're my age or older, I'm 56.
I just turned 59.
So
hey,
you're in way better shape than I am.
Yeah.
And I see you now and I go, oh yeah, you can tell you kind of.
Thank God I'm not looking like
lost a few pounds.
You still look good, and that reminds me. You never correct me. Autocorrect makes it look like I was hitting on you in my messages. Like I said, you're a cute podcaster. I admit that you're quite a great podcaster, because I saw you at the time doing the podcast. I was getting into your shows. Yeah,
the podcast was really great, successful. I mean, that's also, last year was a big year for me. I had a lot of stuff going on with the book. I had the podcast. I did a whole season of that, 10 episodes, Heroes for Hope, Thriving Beyond Trauma. And I was on the board of the California Writers Club, and a lot of other stuff was going on, Right. And I was always this guy that like, oh, hey, I can handle it. Didn't think that I managed my stress through meditation. Devout meditator every morning, and still, man, I had this.
So I got the question for you, because I had to write stuff. Good thing I got messages. So I put out the post, and then people see that and send me the stuff. The stroke. After you had your stroke, did you have to change your diet? I mean, of course, but
yeah. You know what? For me, it was portions. In fact, the last big meal I had, I think I had my stroke on Monday. Saturday night, I brought all my family to House of Prime Rib. Have you ever been to House of Prime Rib?
Going out. You're going out.
I went out. That was a great last meal. Yeah, I didn't have to get, like, for me, I didn't have to get the biggest thing on the menu. And I'm the biggest thing on the menu guy. It's like, if there is a full stack of ribs, that's me. I'm Fred. I'm gonna Fred.
Go home.
Yeah,
right. You're like, if I'm here, I might as well go all in.
I am Fred Flintstone.
You burn it out. You burn it off easy.
Yeah, I burn it off easy. I exercise every day, and I was fooling myself. So now it's just like portions. I look at a full plate now. My wife and I, we usually 90% of the time we just share stuff, and that's the wise thing to do, because you look at a plate of food now in America, it's like 2,000 calories. Yeah, it's like, really, that's like all my calories for the day.
And those aren't the ones I'm ordering, or I used to order, because they're usually way more than that.
Yeah. So I just got smart.
I've heard some people, they spend $2,000 on food delivery.
Mm-hmm. Keeping somebody employed.
Yeah, I haven't had a stroke or anything. For me, I noticed with getting older, I just realize I want to eat less.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'll get the same portions, and I'll realize to myself, it's not worth eating all this.
Yeah.
Like things. A lot of times I'll be at work and people just give me food.
Yeah.
And I'll actually say no.
Yeah, you got to pass on. You have to have those refusal skills. You know, I used to tell my kids, "Hey, nobody dies eating a big old steak unless it's an accident." But nobody's all going at the old folks' home eating a big 20-ouncer. You know, you just don't do it. You don't
unless
do
you
that.
choke on it.
You just choke on it. Yeah. And don't dare me to do it because I still do the old 96ers. You know.
Something about, I don't know, is it an age thing? Or?
I feel like the older you get, the more in touch with your body you are. You know, even down to muscle things. You know, you're driving in the car, you look, you're like, oh my gosh, my neck didn't used to do that.
I didn't have neck pain until I got older.
Look in the next lane, and then it's kind of like a domino effect from there. You're like, all right, I gotta stretch. I gotta get fresh air every day. Like, I can't stare at a screen without my brain going numb. You know, it's all these different things, and then part of it is movement and what you put in your body. I mean, the other day I was taking a flight, and they were super nice to us in the flight cabin we were. I was traveling for work, and they just kept giving us food, and I had my college brain on at first, which is like, free food, you don't say no to that. You know? Premium, but still, it was like, it was a little Cinderella story. No, but then after a while, I'm just like, I'm not gonna move for 10 hours. Like, I better just like learn, you know.
Hours.
What? 10? It was a flight to London town.
Okay.
It was great.
Over the pond? Like that London town?
Just across the pond. Yeah.
That London town.
Well, that's a big pond.
Yeah,
it's a big pond.
I mean,
yeah.
from here.
It's a big pond, yeah.
That's the big
but
pond.
just things like that, or even like what you said about, you just pay attention to your body more. I think so too. I think it is an age thing.
I think everybody has little wake-up calls. You know, and if you hear them, you know, it's up to you. But everybody gets one. And I think that was mine.
I think what your story and your call to action and your PSA, which I truly appreciate, and I'm so glad you're okay.
Oh, thank you.
And of course,
I'd hate to lose Mark Clifford. He's one of the best guys around.
Thank you.
I do think everyone has a wake-up call, and I think the importance is what you said, is just to say something about it. I was 20, weirdly enough, when I had mine. I was in a routine doctor's appointment, and you know how they run through that list of things at the end when they're like, you know, have you been having headaches, chills, whatever, you know, the long list of, and they mentioned chest pains, and I was like, actually, yeah, my chest has been a little painy, you know. I have been having chest pains. They asked me to describe it, and I did, and they thought it was, I was on birth control at the time, and they thought it was a
that's great.
pulmonary blood clot. And so they said, okay, let's take a CAT scan. And so they did, and they took a CAT scan, and it turned out to be an 11-centimeter tumor on my pancreas. It was wild. And so ever since then, to your point, I've always been a huge proponent of, like, if you see something, say something. Yeah. You know, if you feel off, like, speak the F up, right? Like, if you feel off, like,
and who knows your
raise
body
your hand.
more than you do, right?
Exactly. It's about that attunement, you know, and it's about not trying to push through, I think, because I think we live in a world where a lot of us are always trying to, we're given the message of, like, push through. I'm part of like the walk it off generation.
Yeah. Oh,
you know?
And that was my fault.
Yeah. And so push through. Yeah. Walk it off. Like, you'll be fine. Pop an Advil, you know, like, you know, pain is weakness leaving the body, like that whole thing. But it was like, I feel like we often forget that, because we're so either in our head or in our creativity, which is a beautiful thing, but we're just walking around and our cells are keeping us together, you know, with like hydration, with food, with everything. And so
our cells and a little bit of gravity. And
a little bit of gravity.
I would not go to the doctor. You said recent a checkup. This was a checkup.
It was just a routine checkup. Yeah.
I don't do routines, especially at 20. Like, at least now, I would think about it. I'd be like, yeah, I'm getting old. Yeah. I should do a checkup, because you never know. I might die on that slab. They call it a slab, right? Usually on that doctor.
The doctor's table?
I hear you.
Slab, right? Feels like a slab.
Yeah.
Well, because I mean, as I get older, I start thinking about that kind of stuff. Like, nothing's happened yet. It could, and it's going on. You know, something. We're all terminal cases.
I love your description of the doctor's appointment, though. It reminded me of, like, going to the mechanics. It's like, hey, I just wanted the oil changed, but now I'm finding out I got like $2,000 worth of 10 different things. I got a problem.
Exactly.
They do throw in some extra stuff.
Yeah.
We've got an issue.
I'll check
here.
on that.
Yeah.
But at least they don't do the work before checking in with you.
That's true.
Yeah.
The car, they could keep, the car shop could keep your car, and the hospital can't keep your body, I guess.
Unless it goes to the morgue.
Yeah, well, and then they got to send it somewhere else, and then you got to pay taxes for your death somehow. Somehow you pay taxes for your death. I guess.
You do. Death tax. Somebody else does. You pay your spiritual tax, but not to the government.
Yeah, how do you, if you don't have anybody to pay for that, how does that work?
Somebody lucks out. Money don't sit around.
My mom's always saying, you know I could die tomorrow, and I'm like, yeah, me too. Okay. So, because she's like, you gotta, here, I give you my account, and here, I'm gonna give you this in case I die tomorrow. I'm like, well, here's mine in case I die tomorrow. It could be. No, but I'm planning on dying after her. Like, when she dies, I'm like, all right, now I could be ready, I guess.
It's like when we were overseas during the Desert Storm deployment, we all signed over, because I thought it was going to be a 5-year campaign. We all signed over SGLI to each other. So,
what is
your service group life insurance, which at the time, I don't know how much it was, maybe like $20,000 or something. But, if you were like the sole survivor of your platoon, you'd be all like, man, I just made a killing off of this. So you just signed over.
Yeah, killing off of dying. Haley, you said you were on a business trip. What kind of business? You do teaching.
I used to do teaching. I call myself a recovering teacher.
Oh,
yeah, I got that part.
I have a couple of practicing teachers in my.
Oh yeah, I did it for 5 years and I'm recovering for another 10.
I
taught first grade with San Francisco Unified.
Oh gosh, yeah, kids. I don't blame you.
First grade, 6 or 7 years old. I actually had an amazing thing happen to me the other day. I was in a show at Neck of the Woods. Recently, and 80% of my best content during my comedy sets are from teaching, right? Everyone wants to know. It's kind of like lifting that veil of like seeing a teacher outside of school, right? Oh, yeah. So it's the teacher stuff that hits best. But I had never shared this with the parents of the kiddos I used to teach.
So the parents are in the audience.
I'm at NEC. We're in the green room, and one of the other comics is like, "Hey, you used to teach at XYZ school, right?" I'm like, "Yep." And she's like, "I'm friends with so many of the moms, and they're coming tonight." And I had to go and find them in the crowd before the show and give them like huge hugs and be like, "Just so you know, none of this is about your kids. Yeah. Your kids are amazing." But no, so I used to be a teacher. I did it for 5 years in San Francisco. Now I work in tech. I'm a software trainer, so I train investment bankers instead of first graders. So during the day I do that, and then at nighttime I put on my comedy hat. Well, no, I'm always wearing my comedy hat. But at nighttime I physically go to the mic.
The world needs more funny people.
Yeah, exactly. Funny people, actually funny. Yeah.
It's really funny though, because I still feel like I'm in a teacher and a kid headspace all the time. Okay, for example, we'll be in these corporate meetings and I just have like the brain of a first grader sometimes. All these corporate phrases will be zinging around, like, let's not upset the apple cart, or let's not boil the ocean. And I'm just like, then I just start thinking, like, how would you really boil the ocean? I just get distracted by like the corporate stuff behind it. Exactly. Yeah. And so it's been an interest. Yeah. I'm like, are we going to use Bunsen burners? But it's been
an interesting. This out loud, or you just?
Oh no, in my mind. No, out loud. I'm like, great synergy.
That's my problem. I would say it out loud and not realize it.
No, I know.
Yeah, you're smart. Yeah.
As a teacher though, I'm trained to not say things out loud too, because picture the opposite scenario. You're surrounded by 6-year-olds, and one of them says something, and you can't be like, "Well, that sounds like a personal problem." Mm. You have to be super tactful, as a teacher too.
Teachers.
So
Teachers and doctors and nurses.
Teachers and doctors and nurses.
Police officers.
I am still very much a teacher at heart. For example, tomorrow my company gives us one volunteer day a year, which is great. And so tomorrow, it being Halloween, I'm taking the day off and going straight to the elementary school I used to teach at. And we're going to do some read alouds. I'm going to help them with their costumes. And I get to be kind of like the cool aunt of the classroom, just like dip in and be like, "Hi, everyone."
The fun part.
And then exactly, yeah.
It's nice to still be welcome on campus.
It really is. I mean, I love all the families that I worked with. I love the teaching colleagues. We still get together all the time, and it was a really unique space. People always say, like, "Do you miss the classroom, or do you miss the field?" And I don't miss the field, but I miss the heartbeat of a school. You know, it's a really unique environment where I feel like it's one of the only places where, like, people, again, doctors and nurses, similar thing. You're intertwined, not just by your, like, business objectives, but by your heartstrings, you know, and that's a really unique space to be in.
Amen. I mean, my daughter is a teacher,
That's
and
amazing.
she went from tech to teaching.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
We did a little Freaky Friday.
Yeah, a little Freaky Friday.
flip-flop.
A little Freaky Friday. My wife's a teacher. My mom is a teacher. I got two brothers and a sister that are teachers, so a lot of teachers in my family. And I just think, I mean, the world needs really good cops now and really good teachers.
I agree.
Yeah, because the teaching profession is kind of dealing with the same things as law enforcement's dealing with now: recruitment, retention, oversight, and a lot of things.
Too, and fighting burnout. And
fighting burnout.
How do you stay
the burnout
inspired?
means like just you get worn out.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
Oh yeah, that's another like see something, say something. It drove me to the point of like I didn't have the greatest mental health when I was working in the classroom. I'm just gonna put it out there, and so that's part of why I decided to transition out, because I was like, it was that classic, you have to put your own oxygen mask on before everyone else. And I loved the innovation, the creativity, the stories that my kiddos would generate. But at the end of the day, you gotta live a life where you're excited to bound out of bed in the morning, you know. And so
true.
But the things that I would hear the kids say were amazing. Like we had morning circle. People were like, "What was your favorite part about teaching?" And my favorite part about teaching was morning circle, which is where all the social emotional growth happens, as I'm sure you know. And we would always have these social emotional check-ins. We do this thing called fist to 5. Like, how are you feeling? From like a 0 being a fist, being like worst day ever, you know, like my siblings spilled syrup all over me, whatever, to being 5, right? You know, like I got pancakes today, and you know, we're gonna watch like my favorite Curious George cartoon after school, whatever, right? And so
he was pretty dope.
And so the deep part of it that's fun to talk about is you started seeing kids who were 6 and 7 adopt a mindset of like duality, being like, I'm feeling a 1 and a 4, you know. And that was really cool to be like, whoa, it took me 35 years to understand what duality was. I still have a hard time holding two things to be true at once.
They were just like, I don't know. They were like,
they were like, I feel 1 and 4. 1 because like I'm a little cold right now and I'm a little tired, but 4 because we get PE today. And I'm like, holy moly, you are way more evolved than I am, you know. And then also the things that they would say because of their reasoning, like, it was the best. Like this girl, she'd be like, feeling a 0 because today I woke up and my parents said I had to get dressed by myself. And just a great glimpse into like, oh, sweetie.
You're like, what, 6 years old?
Exactly.
Okay,
like the adulting of the 6-year-old world, you know.
That makes sense, though.
Yeah.
I mean, these are amazing conversations that I have with my wife. She gets home from work every day, just the cute things that kids say. And then, so when I retired, I got really into post-traumatic growth recovery, PTSD, through the veteran community and also the first responder community, and learned a lot about it. And then, so when the younger generation today, because of COVID, they came back into schools and they're immersed in some good things and some bad things, but kids are very knowledgeable for the tools they need to really control their central nervous system that we didn't have access to. Now we're kind of going back and trying to learn how to do this stuff. But I mean, there are these little things like following your waves on your finger, all this stuff. My wife tells me, I go, it's amazing that's the stuff that we got to reserve to teach our kids that they know how to control themselves and control their emotions.
Exactly.
Yeah,
we had mindfulness every day after recess, and we would have this same mindfulness track, and there were days when I probably needed it more than they did, but it was really cool to see them start to just get fully lean in to just mellowing themselves out. It was so cool.
I would say 6 years old. I don't think I understood school. I don't think most of my years I really did. But 6 years old, I think that's when I started just walking off campus. Not because I felt like I was running off. I just felt like, well, this is kind of boring. Actually, they actually found me at the neighbor's house having tea. I was sitting at her table having tea, and the cops showed up. I guess later on in life, we had therapists in the classroom.
In the classroom.
Probably helped for the teachers and us.
I mean, my generation, Mark got out of his chair twice today, second grade, put him on Ritalin. It's like, that was just the way it was, and then you had to deal with all those things. I didn't stand them very long, but now
they kind of just turn you into a zombie.
They diagnose everything. But I was so young, I really don't have much of recollection of it. But it's all about learning how to calm your central nervous system. In my career, it was really, that was the key. You couldn't be at 110% all the time, and the body was at 100% all the time. It was a hypervigilance, and when you learn the tools to kind of gear yourself back, you have a much more enjoyable life, because that's what really creates that emotional avalanche in a lot of people who, are veterans and first responders in that lifestyle. Good stuff.
Yeah, what do you think about school system these days, Haley? Like, what kind of...
Oh, that's a whole separate podcast.
I can't wait to tell my wife and daughter about you. They'll become good fans.
Oh, wonderful. Great.
And tell people.
Yeah, it's so fun.
We'll do that for each other.
Perfect. Absolutely. There we go. Teamwork.
Support group.
Yeah.
About the current school system, my opinions.
As a teacher,
my reservations with the current school system is that it's never the kids that are the problem. It's always the grown-ups. You have these sweet, sweet, sweet kiddos who just have a host of, I don't want to say issues, but a host of needs, right? Of basic needs that aren't being met. Yeah. Right, whether it's in their home environment, whether it's their learning style isn't being reflected in the classroom. And the school system is so focused on like data and the admin and the being, because all of it's driven by data now, right? And it's all about like test scores and did you get your reports in on time and that sort of thing. And it's so the decisions that are made are quite frequently so out of touch of like the actual what is actually happening in the classroom. The kiddo that needs like a little bit more TLC, the kiddo that like needs to have a specific way of learning broken down for them. And it's just this, as an educator, you feel like you're grasping for straws essentially, because you're saying I don't have the proper resources to accommodate all these kids and their unique needs. And you feel like I'm an empath, and that's why it was hard for me. I had very porous boundaries between me and my kiddos, like sensitivities and the trauma they had been through. And so you wish you could just wave a magic wand and make it all be better for all of the different kids, but you can't, and so, a certain kid needs a little bit more time to finish their reading assessment, but you have to wrap it up and be like, well, you have to be at this level, or you have to, or there's a kid whose nervous system is activated and doesn't feel safe in their natural environment, and you have to still teach like 24 other kids, and you have 24 other 6-year-olds who don't understand that someone's just having a tricky time, but it's not their like fault, and so it's just a matter of like, it's just under resourced, to be honest. I feel like a lot of the holes in the school district currently are because there's not enough time and resources being placed into classrooms and into educators to actually pave a solid foundation to support all the kids. I think every classroom should have a minimum of 2 adults all the time.
So you're like Michelle Pfeiffer. You ever like show up to the students' houses?
I after school, you mean? What I would do? I would drink a bottle of red wine, but no, in real time, kidding. But no,
at your own house.
But what? Yeah, exactly. No, but I would email parents. I would take parent phone calls until 10 p.m. I would bring in snacks for kids who I knew didn't have snacks at home. Absolutely.
I'd be good with the bringing snacks.
The snacks were fun. Snacks do fix a lot of things in a short-term way. I always keep a stash of snacks behind my behind my desk for the kiddos who I knew like would need a snack that day and that kind of thing. But or for me.
I mean, being an empath is a double-edged sword.
It really is.
I consider myself an empath too. It helps me on the creativity.
Oh, cool.
It helped me as a cop. I tell you, I could read people like you wouldn't believe, but then you also take the pain with you too. And,
exactly.
And one of the things for me, and I write about this in Typhoon Coast too, is my main character, Trent McShane, is that one of the things I was never really able to understand in my whole career, and I saw thousands of them, were suicides. And I would go in to the suicide scene, and just the darkness would weigh upon you. And you know, I go to church either that Sunday or during the week if I was working the weekends, and I'd light a candle because of the just amount of emotional weight that just draped over you in those scenes. And I mean, I've seen thousands of them. When I was a field supervisor, I had to even go to more. You know, I had to go to all the calls, and it was just such a desperate feeling. And that was just because I knew I was an empath, and I was just
that helps with being a cop.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't blame a lot of cops, but you know, there's a lot of ones that just seem like right off the bat they're just going on. Seems like maybe what they're trained, which is just assuming this or that instead of just trying to see what you're feeling. The empath thing.
Yeah.
But I get it.
Yeah.
It's hard to go in these situations with feelings.
Right.
You're supposed to be a little jaded.
Yeah, and you have a professional demeanor, but that doesn't mean it's not globbing onto you.
Well, if you absorb it all,
then
it
stays
with you.
Oh yeah.
How have you seen that play out in your creative work?
You know,
said that being an empath is
I mean, I would say as a creative, for my book, the people that know me, they go, Mark, that's all you. But my story was so difficult to tell the real story, I chose to fictionalize it, you know, because some of the things as an empath, you get too close and you want to create a barrier because it can absorb you. So I use my emotions for a creative tell as a writer. You know, that's my bridge, that's my outlet, and that's my gift. You know, and because I was a cop and I'm a veteran, you know, we don't corner the market on trauma. You know, your average citizen will experience maybe 1 or 2 critical incidents, real significant traumas in a lifetime. A cop 800, and then you back that up to the Marine Corps experiences that I write about, and so there's a lot of trauma, which I feel it makes me a good teacher, and I can create a bridge. So I'm not writing dark and stormy cop stories or black helicopter military stories. I write from a perspective for everybody to understand. One of the stories I tell people about my writing process early on to it, and I wrote for years. You know, it was a system of progress, education, and, you know, writing little things for newspapers here and there, and knowing that, you know, you have a little bit of a talent. Was it one day I was getting home from my shift, and I'm walking upstairs to go to bed, and I hear my wife reading our youngest kid a book, and I thought it was maybe a Harry Potter, you know. And so I sat there to kind of chill out, and I'm just listening to my wife read to my youngest, and I realized, oh, she's reading an early draft of Typhoon Coast.
Wow.
So I go, you know, you have the confidence and the ability to just keep working, and it's been a wonderful retirement gig too.
It sounds like a segue to get into your
Snake
episodes.
Man 248.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about those.
All right,
we're going from like 1 to 5. We do it in order.
The Adventures of Snake Man 248. So, the Snake Man is a concept that comes up in Typhoon Coast. So, just to frame this up, I did recently over the summer 10 episodes of this animation that kind of summarizes the first quarter of Typhoon Coast. It's the coming of age part that takes place in San Francisco. So this whole Snake Man, I have this real dramatic scene where my protagonist, Trent McShane, when he's a kid, he learns that he's a direct descendant of Bat Masterson, a big Old West lawman / journalist. And so growing up, I was led to believe that I was a direct descendant of Bat Masterson, which we found out through genealogy, wrong Masterson. But that doesn't that doesn't really negate where my compass kind of was as a kid. And so that's who the Snake Man is. He's part man, part snake. That's in Trent, the young character, when he learns this, and that his Marvel comic mind, he comes up with this character of Snake Man that kind of carries him through life. 248 is a little something for the folks listening to the show. That was my badge number in law enforcement. So
it's a fortune cookie.
It's a little,
no pun intended.
Yes. And so I wanted to kind of offset it from any other statement that may be out there, but this statement is pretty original. So if this is going to be episode number 1,
yes, sir.
This is the introduction of the Belt of Destiny, and so there is a belt, and when we're done with it, I brought one with me.
Boom!
You brought a belt? Wow!
I brought a belt with me.
Seems like we planned this.
I know. And you got to be prepared. So the opening of the book actually takes place in San Francisco. My character's from San Francisco. I'm 4th generation by birth San Franciscan. My dad grew up out in the Sunset, and I just felt it was such an enchanting place. The Sunset in San Francisco. He had
one of my favorite
the
neighborhoods.
zoo out there. He had horseback riding on Ocean Beach. You have
the beach.
the beach. You have Playland, so I'm a little bit older than you. And you had Sutro Baths. You had Fly Shacker Pool. Okay, and Fly Shacker Pool was the most amazing thing, and I capture Fly Shacker in this series too, and also in the book. And it's a 1,000-foot long pool, which today now is the San Francisco Zoo's parking lot. So.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so the Belt of Destiny. Everybody has a destiny. Everybody has a destiny. And when people ask me about creativity, I go, the universe is filled with billions and billions of ideas, and they're all looking for human hosts. And most of us are like, oh, I'm not good enough. Oh, I can't do that. I've not got the skills to do that. But a few of us, the creatives, are like, I'm going to do that.
Do it.
I'm gonna do it.
For better or for worse.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it. And so,
if I'm running on 4 hours of sleep, I'm gonna do it.
All right, without further ado, it's the Adventures of Snake Man Part 1, guys.
Okay. At what point did you, Mark Clifford, decide to be an author, and what was your path to publication? And then third one after it.
All right. I always wanted to be an author. In fact, the last episode of this series, if you can see at the end of each one of these series is a little plug for me as an author in Typhoon Coast to read the book Typhoon Coast. But it was something that I always wanted to do because it was one of the things that I actually knew I was kind of good at in high school. Everything else I really wasn't that great at. I went from football to the diving team. How weird is that? I was just trying everything in life, and then in my English class, I actually got I won a writing competition, and it gave me confidence. Saying, hey, I can do that, and I kept at it. I kept at it through college. I was on college newspapers. When I got into my career, I did a lot of first persons for newspapers. Slice of life stuff, and then continue my education through writing coaches, writing teams, UC Berkeley Extension, it's outside of just college stuff, and just kept at it, and I did a lot of short stories, and kind of the sad truth is that in 2005, my beat partner was also a writer, and he was killed in line of duty and brutally murdered. Very sad situation, and so a group of his friends got together and they said, "Hey, let's start a writing competition in his memory." And so how great would it be? One of his fellow officers from his department put in something and maybe won. So I wrote something up and I sent it off to an editor that I was working with at the time, and he sent it back. Goes, pretty good, Mark, but change this and change that. And by the way, when is the submission deadline? And I look over and I missed it by 2 days. And I go, Joe, I'm going to write a book. I'll talk to you in 10 years. And so that's how long it takes. And so maybe even longer. And so I took all these short stories that I had put together and turned them into an arc. Kind of took a very revolutionary way of writing that's not too familiar. Very colorful way of writing, very character-based with a huge treasure hunt trajectory in it, which I love the whole concept of treasure hunts. Typhoon Coast is the first of a series of 3 books. My next book, Earthquake Coast, will be out in April. And one of the things I wanted to do, because this was actually a true story based upon a real treasure that I was very much aware of when I was stationed in the Philippines during the cataclysmic eruption of Mount Pinatubo in 1991, is just the adventure of treasure hunting, And so to promote Typhoon Coast, I actually buried a gold ticket for $1,000 in San Francisco. Still out there today. If you go on my website,
I remember that.
You can see you can see all the rules for it. So people are out looking for it. I think it's a great idea.
The treasure's still buried.
This treasure's still buried.
I know what I'm doing this weekend.
$1,000 golden ticket. If you go on my website,
right? I'll meet you there.
Yeah, you could.
You bring coffee. I'll bring a shovel.
On my website, there's plenty of information on how to find it, and if you know a little bit about the history of San Francisco and read my story, you'll find $1,000.
That is so cool.
Yeah, and it's great because it was during COVID, and it was like, what a great opportunity for families to get out there and look for a treasure in San Francisco. And those treasure hunts in San Francisco have always been really great. And of course, I sent little emails and public announcements out to like local newspapers, and one hit on it, but like you think the Chronicle would be interested in, or the Examiner, to promote it, and no callbacks yet. So if you know anybody, tell them to call back. It's a great opportunity to get families out.
Daily Journal.
Well, I want to look first before I promote it.
Yeah.
I want to find
this
ticket.
It's smack dab where I say it is.
I have a love-hate relationship with the Daily Journal, so it's not bad. It's not.
Well, if you hate him a lot, tell him to write a story about
me in there for good news and bad news.
Paul and I are gonna find it.
Yeah, there you go.
$1,000.
You said earthquake. Who felt the very last earthquake?
Oh, the recent one. I was driving, so I didn't
We got
feel
no
it.
alert for this one. For
we
some
didn't.
reason.
No, we didn't. Yeah, it's crazy.
And that was the big one. Shoot, you were driving.
I was driving. I was coming from Target, so I thought it was from all the damage I did at Target.
And it wasn't.
It wasn't. Yeah.
Disappointed that it wasn't.
I was like, oh man, I got the clearance rack and everything, but no.
But it wasn't that big of a deal.
It was tectonic plates.
It was, and that's my second book is based upon earthquake story in San Francisco. Ooh. So really good. It's had to plug that. Always got to plug ourselves here, our arts and our crafts. Anybody want to see that Belt of Destiny? That
yes.
So I brought actually two. So this is the Belt of Destiny, and Trent's in this story has a derringer on it.
And then show it to Luke's camera, which is the light ring.
Yeah,
right, go up. Go up. No, here. I'm sorry. Let me.
You want to hold it?
Yeah, hold on.
Hold it up.
Let me actually go back to you guys because I was about to play part 3. Remember?
So derringer belt buckle. Okay.
Hold on. Show it to your camera.
And that's the Belt of Destiny.
Let's get it on for everybody else to see. There you go.
That's the Bat Masterson official derringer belt buckle. And then the other belt buckle I have here is from book 2. And so I carry the Belt of Destiny over into book 2, and that's like the Tree of Life. And there's a whole other level of the power of this Belt of Destiny in the second book. But yeah, you have this magical snakeskin belt, that's part of the superhero theme that kind of goes through the book, and in a very adult perspective to it, and because there's a tremendous amount of loss in the book. It deals, if I have to say, is it, my book and my art is my post-traumatic growth. That's how I dealt with a lot of the traumas that I had to endure, was to write about it. So yeah, fun stuff. Fun stuff.
I think there was a question somewhere about how do the traumas, this could be open for the board here, how have the traumas, what traumatic experiences have you been through that you've learned from, and how, what's it helped you? Because traumatic experiences help you grow.
Mm-hmm. Post-traumatic growth. For sure.
How have they helped you grow?
Tremendous amount of growth here. I tell you, I grew a lot with the stroke experience we talked about earlier. I grew a lot with a lot of stuff that happened in law enforcement, but the one that really, I think that really catapulted me, that I had to cope with, was in 1991. In June, I was a young Marine Staff Sergeant in charge of 19 guys. We're a special operations training group, and we're stationed in the Philippines. We're out in the jungle when Mount Pinatubo erupted. Mount Pinatubo ended up being the largest volcanic eruption of history in a densely populated area. It's a huge story. I write about it in Typhoon Coast, but it was kind of unique because the volcanologists were able to determine that this volcano is going to go off. We don't know how big it's going to be, but it's going to be a big eruption. And so we evacuated Clark Air Force Base because we figured all the big stuff was going to come down on the Air Force Base, and to Subic, where I pulled back and I was. And but what happened is that all the ash came out and pretty much buried Subic. A lot of people were killed there. But we ended up doing a major flotilla evacuation, saved thousands and thousands of lives. Thousands were still killed ultimately. But I was literally buried alive for that. I brought my guys back into a Quonset hut that's probably not much bigger than 2 of these rooms here. And while this volcano slowly buried us in darkness. And at the same time, a typhoon came through. So it turned this ash to cement. Earthquake continuously, darkness for 2 days. The jungle around us defoliated like constant machine gun fire. And so I came to terms with the fact that I was going to die here, and I was probably going to be found like a soldier in Pompeii in a couple of centuries, and because you didn't know when this thing was going to stop. And but it stopped, and we ended up digging our way out. And so, long story. And is this PG-13? Can I use an F word?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, it's rated.
So
non-rated.
Okay. So
NC-17.
Yeah. So is to promote the book. I wrote a piece of short fiction about it, and it was published in the Military Arts magazine, and it was a fictionalized account, but very, very close to the actual account of the incident. It's probably 2,000 words, but it's called The Fuck It Bucket. Okay.
Oh,
and so,
yeah, I got that message.
Yeah. And so I came across The Fuck It Bucket when I was a patrol sergeant, when a lot of bad stuff was happening during the defund the police. I got to look out for my mental health. And so, I mean, not everything's going to have to count as much as everything. I mean, guys were stressing out. And so I'd be like to the other sergeants, I go, hey man, you need to have a Fuck It Bucket. And they go, what's that? And I go, right here, it's an invisible bucket. And you got to toss that in there. You can't let everything bring you down. And so put it in the Fuck It Bucket. And so I thought it was my own thing. Well, there's apparently a thing about it. And, but I titled this story about my Pinatubo experience The Fuck It Bucket. It's like, some things don't fit in the Fuck It Bucket, and so it's a great story. It's a great summary of the Typhoon Coast. So if you just want to get a little sense of the epic adventure of what Pinatubo was like, just read The Fuck It Bucket by Mark R. Clifford. Put the R in the middle, Mark R. Clifford, and you'll get everything on me. But I would love it. I would love if people read it, and if you really liked it, you like the animated series, buy the book. Read the whole book, because my forwards I use as a map of the story. And so read the forward, start the forward. A lot of people brush over the forward, read the forward, and then continue with the story. It's a pretty wild story. It's a pretty wild ride. You go on Amazon, a lot of reviews on it, and people get it.
The forward actually has some foreshadowing.
It does. Yeah, it's very important. Very important to read the forward of the story.
Into it. Hey, so let's get into. Should we just do the like a marathon of all of them? The 3, 4, 5.
Well, yeah, we have 3 right up.
So we're about to do it. All right. I said he should just go into all of them. So you want to 3 through 5?
You know what? Let's watch it, and then because they grow on each other, and then I'll comment maybe a little bit after, because I'm not sure exactly. These all begin the same. I liked the use of the kind of sound effects in the beginning, because I wanted to be like what I really liked when I was a kid, listening to the old time radio shows.
Okay. Yeah, that would alert you as their theme
it's
or
like,
their intro.
Okay, maybe we'll do
it'll
3,
be
4,
a little theme,
and then pause in the 5.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. The Adventures of Snake Man 248.
Yeah, let's do the 3, 4.
Oh, perfect.
I thought I was gonna get a lot of hate because I have a friend who's a cop, a detective now, so and I had a picture with him. Maybe even Dana was saying you're gonna get a lot of bad comments, and nothing. You just live your life how you want to. Express yourself. You know what I mean? Don't live in that zone.
Being a cop's an incredible humanitarian job, man. I tell you. So many talking
because he had like his whole uniform on.
Yeah.
And here I am. Hey, buddy,
that's okay. That's good stuff. Man.
I mean, that means I think he's a good guy.
Yeah.
At least I'm not promoting a bad guy here.
Most cops,
because he's got a uniform on. Come on.
Yeah, most cops are just wonderful, wonderful people. And everybody focuses on the negative. A couple things I want to touch on from the last episode.
He's going to touch on stuff, and then we'll get into the fifth one. So,
okay. Is that the whole concept of perfume of the soul? It's kind of a nice little energy thing. It's an ongoing theme in my stories. Is that everybody has a different perfume. It's like it's something that's unique to you, and it's your hopes and dreams. And so that's just kind of to give a little definition about it. It kind of plays out a little bit more throughout the animated series, but it's a nice little thing for especially kids to think about. And when we talked earlier about the billions of ideas that are looking for human hosts, is that everybody has a very unique perfume of the soul. It's your hopes and dreams. It's your destiny. And a lot of people, they just deny it or they don't want to see it, but it's all there for us. And you just have to want to do it, pursue it.
I feel like you need to harness your perfume of the soul when you're getting into the creative arts, because there are so many different reasons to not do what you feel called to do, right? There's capitalism, there's there's wanting to stay focused on one thing. There's what I was a kid that grew up in the 90s. We were told that success equated to white picket fence, married and kids by the time you're 30.
Gross.
But it's
Except
true.
for Mark.
We were given we were like, if you do this, then XYZ will happen, and boom, success. And then the world changed. We, throughout our own various lives, have discovered the creative ideas that the universe has placed within us, or that we've discovered. And I feel like in the pursuit of creativity, you have to remember that perfume of the soul, because there are 1,000,001 reasons to not do what you want to keep doing, and then there's that one reason, which is it belongs to you. It's inside you. It's the ember of what you know to be worth chasing, and that is what's going to be.
Amen, sister.
That's what's going to carry you forward.
No kids, Haley?
No kids, never married.
That's beautiful.
I have a 13-year-old Chihuahua.
That's great.
She's my daughter. Yeah, exactly.
I've been watching a lot of Mark's been watching 90 Day Fiance also. It seems like, but it's a little far back. You're still on Big. Well, yeah. Big Ed's always the star, even if it's a new season and he's not even there. But yeah, this person he's very disturbing. She was it's called the Sophia, and I think that's her name. She found messages and she was upset at him about he's still talking to other people, I guess. But the guy though. Like he said, no, I'm only with you. And then, but the thing that disturbed me was once it came out that she didn't want kids. Like for some reason, he didn't know this already. But like he said, his life is meaningless without that. I don't know what my life could be like if I can't have kids. Oh my gosh, it's I don't see the reason of what's the point if I can't have if you don't want kids. Are you kidding me? But like, what? I mean, even if you have kids, like Mark is a great dad here. Even if you have kids, like, what? How's life pointless if you don't have kids?
Right. Well, and I do think I want them. I loved what.
But you can still live your life.
Well, exactly. And I loved what Mark was saying about the fuck it bucket. And I loved what you asked about how has trauma taught you to move forward in your unique way that you do. I have never been buried alive. But my most
we can work on that.
But maybe when I'm digging for your $1,000 ticket,
there's my
chance.
Right,
I know. Never say never, right? No. To me, the most salient trauma. I mean, there was the tumor when I was 20. There was, I've been a victim of sexual assault. I've been, but the most salient trauma, the most recent one was the lapse in mental health that I alluded to during the classroom. When you are a teacher or a caregiver, I'm sure you and your nearest and dearest who work in those fields of public service can attest. There's something called secondary traumatic stress, where you absorb the trauma of the people who you're trying to usher out of trauma, or at least trying to support, especially if you have porous boundaries. And so, right on the crest of the pandemic, I had an intensely trauma-steeped classroom and developed all kinds of symptoms. And then when the pandemic hit, got pitched into like a severe depression. Like just months of my life can't even remember, just like wiped off the map.
A lot of people seem to see a lot of people like no big deal. Like they really can't. Like, even if I can't understand someone because it's not me.
Sure.
I realize it's not me, but everyone has different situations they're going through. Everyone handles things differently.
And to the point of the fuck it bucket, that span of time taught me, because made a full recovery. I was in group therapy. I would show up to the group being like, "Hi, I'm Haley, and today I feel frustrated." It was the whole thing. And someday I want to get into it in my comedy. There's comedians the likes of like Gary Goldman, for example, who talk about mental health in the most brilliant way. I'm still in the stage of my career where I would say, you have to crawl before you can walk, before you can run. And I'd say I'm transitioning from crawling to walking, or walking at a, faster pace, but we'll see. Walking at a good little brisk pace. But ultimately, to the point of the fuck it bucket, is what my work surrounding self-awareness from 2020 onwards has amounted to is the idea of acceptance, which I think also is a really important lesson in our creative pursuits too. Acceptance and not hanging on to like what something should have been. Even to your point of like, even to your anecdote of almost having submitted that short story and it was 2 days past the deadline, instead of being like, I'm never going to do this again, being like, actually, I'm going to write a book. I feel like so much of us get so pulled in and bogged down by what should have been. I was like, I wish depression had never entered my landscape. I wish those 3 months hadn't been wiped off the map for me. I wish that, a certain outcome with a certain romantic partner had gone a different way, or like, I wish that X, Y, and Z, who knows, there are so many areas where I feel like we can hang on to being attached to this outcome. And for me, what has really fueled my momentum is just this commitment to acceptance. Commitment to not being attached to the outcome, like parsing out the difference between dedication and acceptance, and being ready and equipped and having your creative chutzpah and your creative moxie and being ready to go all in, but also being ready to kind of like swerve and change lanes if you need to, and understanding that that's just that whatever you find around each bend is essentially written for you, that we're on the right path, and that to have that kind of mobility and that plasticity to be able to kind of like bob and weave with what comes your way. I think that has been I have tried to lead with that as my core truth.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I tell Haley, when you get from the crawl, walk to the run, and you want to incorporate it into your into your creative pathway, is going to help a lot of people with mental health, because is it still I think maybe 4 years ago there's a huge stigma around mental health, and so for me is that I had to, after every critical incident, there's a list of ones where you have to go to speak to the therapist after in police work, and so I got a really good grasp on the benefits of mental health. But I was still that same person, like back to the stroke stories, that I could take it. And then I realized that I wasn't the best version of myself anymore, and I wanted to get better. And that's when I started a real path to recovery through therapy, then going to these programs like a Warrior Path program that's all about, it was a week long, and I work with veterans in transition and veterans with PTSD through Zach Brown. He's a country music guy.
I've seen him live.
Yeah, he's got
Under the Full Moon.
Yeah, he's great. He does great things for veterans back in Georgia. He's got a camp called Camp Southern Ground, and these are wonderful opportunities. I'm going to give another plug about free stuff for veterans. If any veterans are out there and they're suffering, and they need help in transition, they need help with their mental health, reach out to me through my website, markrclifford.com, and I will get back to you. These things are all free. I love seeing our veterans thrive, and so the Warrior Path is all about turning, and I talk about this in my podcast, Heroes for Hope, Thriving Beyond Trauma. It's turning your trauma into your superpower. There
we go.
Turn your trauma into your superpower, and I think that in my writing, it sounds like the path that you're on too, Haley, is that you're going to turn your trauma into a superpower.
Absolutely.
And you're not going to be the proverbial trauma's bitch. And you're realizing that I'm a better person because of that trauma. Because what you did in 3 months, can you imagine if that was 3 years? Can you imagine if that was 2 decades? And all of a sudden you look back at this road of destruction going, holy crap, I really was in a dark hole. And I didn't realize it until somebody reached down to me and said, hey, look at that friggin' dark hole you're in. And you go, you know what? I'm going to change my life. I remember when I was the fun dad, and that's really what kind of got to me. And I go, I want to be that fun dad again.
What I've loved realizing is that you can be rock solid, strong, and resilient, and really soft at the same time. Like there's this duality between, you can be like really tenacious and really gentle at the same time. And I think that's been like one of my identities I've had a really fun time playing around with, because again, to the empath point, like I grew up being told I was too sensitive, the entire time.
I was a sensitive guy too.
And so, yeah, exactly. Yeah. But and then to make it in any kind of creative pursuit and in your field of work, in my field of work, you also have to be really freaking strong as well. So like, I feel like something that's been really fun has been constantly like tiptoeing and kind of tangoing between that tension of being like really resilient and being a tough cookie, and then at the same time remembering that we have this great softness to us as well. This great like playful, gentle side of our soul, and that the two are not mutually exclusive.
Yes, that's you really nailed it. One of the quotes that I use to describe what a snake man is and what a cop is in Typhoon Coast. It's a good person. This is the definition of a cop. I use this definition as a definition of a cop. Is a good person who has the capacity to do great evil upon evildoers. And so it's really hard for people to wrap their minds around that definition, which I spent a lot of time explaining it in my book. But just think about that, is that most of us, we have this, good and evil mentality, the duality with good and evil, and dualities they have these big long lists. But a cop is a very good person. The job is all psychologically based. So when you start out, they make sure you're a good person, and you have the capacity to do great evil upon evildoers, and so it appears to most people that, when cops use force, it's part of the job. They're just doing their job. Sometimes, there's excessive force and there are catastrophic events and it ruins a whole reputation. But most of us are good people who know how to arrest bad guys, because you have to be empaths and we got to understand how bad guys think. And so like when I was working undercover, you have to have a really good sense of self when you're working undercover, because a lot of guys that work undercover, they immerse themselves too deep. And I go, hey, we're just pretending to be the bad guys, And so it's there's a lot of there's a lot of depth to the police officer personality, which I try to really unpack in Typhoon Coast so people have a better understanding of it. But yeah, you've nailed so many things.
Yeah, appreciate it. I'm glad it resonates.
Yeah,
I feel like lately, I feel like Well, it is important to be the most positive person in the room. You know what? Actually, I think maybe I like maybe my job isn't so bad working in a supermarket. You should be the best person wherever you are, and be the most positive person in the room.
I love that. Be the best person wherever you are, and the best version of yourself.
I feel like no matter what, I feel like I don't know what's going on. I feel like I'm treated as the craziest person in the room. Like I could be there could be a problem, and I'm talking very calm. Hey, could you just sign me off of this, or hey, you gotta sign me, or it could be the most calm demeanor.
Yeah.
Like, well, we got we got some more in the back, something like that, and next thing you know, I'm like, calm down. You calm down. Or you're acting out of control. It's like, what just happened here? Are you trying to make it so that what you're saying sticks, or I feel like I'm the craziest person in the room sometimes, and I'm being treated as the craziest person.
You know what though? I think number one, people project a lot of things onto others. People project a lot of things on others.
So speaking of mental health, so what do you think about how your experience last time on the show here, Mark?
We had an episode.
Yeah.
Without naming names, huh? Yeah.
Sure, whatever.
We always have an episode on the podcast.
Yes.
Usually it's just me and Paul. Oh, that kind of episode. That kind of episode. I'm like, wait, you're digging there. Usually it's just me and Paul. But
I think
he was in that too. Jeez.
I think that not to point any fingers or call anybody out on that, but I think that
it's appropriate.
Yeah, it's. You know what? I think that you have an opportunity in life to de-escalate or escalate things.
Yeah.
And so I knew that when I was doing my Heroes for Hope stuff, and I was trying to find out how our guest trauma informs on his art, and he started going down a very personal road about things that really weren't about him.
You're here to express yourself.
Yeah, but it was about somebody else in the room, and so I gave a timeout. Let's see if this is authorized. And so when things escalate, you have an opportunity to de-escalate, right? And so we de-escalated that one. And I think it's probably your only episode that you had to do a heavy edit.
Every show. That's why I say, Haley, just so you know, if you say something, we're not gonna edit it.
That's fine.
No redactions.
That's fine.
Watch what you say.
I'm an open book. Trust me.
Because I want that open book.
I'm an open book. I never got the poker face thing down. Okay. I'm what you see is what you get. Yeah. You can tell immediately if a troubled thought crosses my face. It's like a storm cloud. Like I am as up close and personal and open book as you can get.
I don't want you. I'm not here to. It's not a TMZ moment. I don't want you to go viral for me making. I don't get off on making you say something to make you feel stupid. But I do get joyousness over you saying something to make you feel like you're expressing yourself.
Yeah.
Well, candid discussions are great. Yeah. They, in my experience, they usually, of course, within the right setting, like candid chats usually enable others to unleash their truth as well, or to get it gives all of us permission to be vulnerable, right? It gives all of us permission to
because I'm not forcing it out of you.
No.
Something here made you feel like expressing yourself.
There we go.
Yeah. And that makes me happy.
No, you do. Yeah, you set up a nice environment where you're allowed to be vulnerable.
Yeah, try to do that.
Yeah. But not everything. You can't talk about everything, right?
But if you felt like opening up and saying something vulnerable or whatever, it still makes me feel glad that you did that. But then when you turn around, you're like, whoa, hold on, I shouldn't have said that. It's like, hold on, now you're ruining the whole aspect of this here. Yeah, let's get into number Fizz-Eye.
5 of 10, halfway through there. So I think this is all we're going to see, though.
On the 5 here.
So tell us a little bit about 5 while I move the logos around.
Oh, I tell you, because I can't really recall what it is, but it's going to be great. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be great.
Cool.
It's good we're only doing the 5. That way they got to go check it out themselves.
Exactly.
All right, part 5. Here we go.
So I didn't look on the article, but there was an article recently where someone sent the cops to go look for someone. They thought it was a dead body remains. Turned out to just be a bong.
Really?
A bong of like a skeleton head bong. And they had to go dive for that too. From the article looked like.
I got some funny stories about that too. So
you got kids, and I believe your son's still serving our country.
He got out, finished his enlistment over the summer. So
Okay.
he's looking for a second career. Great kid.
Okay.
Great
So
kid.
he didn't involve into that Ukraine Israel.
No. Yeah. So he.
Are we in that? We're not. Well, I guess we disregarded Ukraine right now.
Yeah. Well, that's just the news cycle. Whatever people remember. It's really ironic.
So okay. So if we wanted to recap of last week's show, I guess we were talking about gag orders, and that is not. We weren't talking about S&M in San Francisco. This was about the gag order, and of course, we got Trump shouted, and so we started talking. It was court gag orders, and it was an informational show. But then I got the messages that I don't like Fox News, and I actually do have beef with the Fox News right now because they've been canceling Gutfeld.
Oh.
So I mean,
I went to high school with Greg Gutfeld.
See, so you could relate to why I'm a little angry. Like he's my hometown hero, I guess, because he's
local.
I was raised in San Mateo, so they've been canceling the Gutfeld, and so I'm not. It's not because maybe I'm Democrat, don't like Fox News. It's you guys been canceling. What is it? Like you say something and you're now siding with a political party here. I feel like we're back to the vaccine thing or something.
Yeah, I mean, I think don't the same people that own Fox own CNN?
I don't.
No.
That can't be.
No,
that can't be because they're known as. But
because I always go go back and forth.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I don't know enough.
But the thing is, I do think media-wise, if you're high up there, even if you're known as the conservative or Republican station, not to like you have to. If you're high up there, you got to kind of pander both, right? You got to say CNN, MSN bad, but we still got like pander towards both parties.
It's all about ratings.
Times.
All about ratings. So the ratings for the last animation we just saw, let's see. I mean, there's good and evil in the world, right? And so even in the news, even in politics and everything, is that they talk about the deer man in that, and he's the nemesis when the kids are young, and he's based upon one of the prisoners that escaped from Alcatraz and actually lived. People thought that he died and was sucked away out into the Pacific, but in this case, Deer Man lives to kind of haunt the Ocean Beach area of San Francisco. And so there's a whole backstory of that, because we have perfume of the souls for good people, and we have perfume of the souls for evildoers too.
All of your stories, they derive from some true that expands into like a big storyline.
Exactly.
And some not true in there, but to make it fun.
To make it fun, yeah. To make it so where it's kind of you can call it magical realism, but it's to the point of you don't know where the fiction begins and ends. So it's a story where you go, did that really happen? That's pretty sensationalized. And you know what? Look it up. It happened. And then I slightly fictionalize it to kind of make it my own. So yeah, it's he's a very colorful character. He's a character that like a lot of the characters in Typhoon Coast, they go on, they become characters in Earthquake Coast, and in the third book also. So they're all, we build upon it. You don't find everything out just on the first book.
Yeah, that's why I think it's good we only showed the 5 anyway, so people have to tune in.
Tune in, and if you like it, I mean, the whole thing is that when you're an artist, you're a brand builder too. You're a marketer, and this is one of the things that I looked at to help market the story. And you look at it and you go, okay, well, maybe one of these will really work, really take. And so when I first looked at Typhoon Coast, kind of writing it as a form of my post-traumatic growth, I kind of wrote it telling my story. But what I realized is it's a very compelling story for a younger generation. Also, it's something that I think would probably, if anybody's interested, we could probably make it into like a video game, these treasure hunts. So reach out to me on my website, please. I'm always looking to work to spread the story and to keep creating. Some of the best ideas I get are from like my teenage son. He has just a great mind for these things. He doesn't know it, but he steers me in the right direction.
No, I've been thinking lately, if I did have a kid, he would probably help me make money. I've lost the Monopoly game. I've given up hope. Lucky has a Monopoly game, Lucky Supermarket. I've given up hope because I have so many pieces. I've been an obsessed gambler lately. We have a gambling issue because.
Have you ever won the Lucky board piece game?
No, it's also not good solo. I realize you need some help. So I wish I would maybe borrow a kid or something. But it's too late. It ends on Halloween. And so got a Haley Donovan, comedian, sitting right next to you. I think you prefer Hales.
Oh, that's my nickname. So Haley is great.
Oh, Hales.
Yeah, Hales. My friends and family, nearest and dearest, call me Hales.
Okay, I feel like by that name, I feel like you went to college.
Yeah. I my personal Instagram handle is Hales to the Yes. I kind of like the play off of like the wordplay with like Hales, yeah, that kind of thing. Kind of really leaning into that Hales, yeah thing. But yeah, and again, people who have known me for a month or longer call me Hales sometimes, but yeah.
And you're a bumblebee today.
Today I'm a bumblebee. I had so much fun.
What is that brand?
This is called Tipsy Elves.
Isn't
this fun? But so I had so much fun.
Me too.
Actually building this costume. What I've been over the couple of days of Halloween weekend is actual Bumble, which has been really fun. So I've been walking around with this like at Halloween parties with this poster board that I made on Friday evening of Halloween weekend. And it's meant to resemble like an actual Bumble conversation. If you want to get a little Halloween spooky with it, it could be interpreted as someone getting ghosted.
or Pac-Man.
Or
Pac-Man.
Yeah.
So what's here is a string of it's essentially a one-sided conversation, which we know all too well in the dating apps happen. It's just.
I thought this was leading into the Bumble.
Yeah. So it was really fun to come up with. People are like, is this an actual conversation? I'm like, well, it's a conversation that could very well happen on any Monday through Sunday. But so it was really fun. I love getting into like creative arts and crafts projects, and always love exactly. It never left me. I love dinosaurs and new whiteboard erase markers and string cheese and all the things and fun costumes. So yeah, it's been really fun though. So I was at a Halloween party on Friday night, Saturday, sometime over the weekend, and people were like, reading it through, and they're like, can we add something to the conversation?
So this wasn't
it's been fun.
a gig.
It's been
this was
interactive.
A party.
Sorry?
This was a party, not a
yeah,
gig.
no, I will be going to an open mic tonight dressed in costume, but this has only made its debut at parties.
Oh, where's this?
And last night at the Punchline too. This is the Punchline as well.
Sunday. Yeah, Sunday.
Yeah. This made an appearance. The Bumble Screen made an appearance at the Punchline. It will be making an appearance tonight at Blarney Stone in the Inner Richmond. And then tomorrow, as I mentioned, I'm going to be going to the elementary school I used to work at, and a bunch of the colleagues, teaching colleagues there, they're dressing up as Barbie. Because it's Barbie year, right? So the year of the Barbie.
It wasn't a bad movie.
And so I loved it. I saw it 3 times. I cried every single time.
I like how men kind of rule the world. You've seen it?
I will see it, but no, I have not seen it.
When the Billie Eilish song comes on the radio from that movie, I still get all teary-eyed.
I know about it. I forgot about it in the movie, but I know about it.
The really slow one. But anyways, so tomorrow I'll be part of their Barbie squad, and then on Halloween proper, which I guess is tomorrow. What is time, right?
Yeah, Doja Cat's gonna be out tomorrow.
So tomorrow
I'm supposed
night,
to wear a wedgie to her concert. That's what she wants.
Tomorrow night, I have to end up at a dog-friendly bar because I am dressing up as my dog, and she has a little black dress that I'm putting on her to dress up as me. And so every year I try and go for at least one instance of me and my dog dressing up as Halloween costumes as like a unit. The first year we were matching Rosie the Riveters because that's her namesake. She's Rosie. She was a pandemic adoption, so I wanted her to be like the mascot of We Can Do Hard Things. And then last year we were Elle Woods and Bruiser from the Great American Classic Legally Blonde. Nice. And this year we'll be each other. So
you're going to be at the Blarney Stone tonight in San Francisco?
I will be at the Blarney Stone tonight.
They see you wearing your colada ring there?
Yes, I do. I am Irish. Okay. That's right. Haley Donovan.
Yes.
Very Irish
Donovan,
through and through.
Yeah. Because I was a big fan of Ray Donovan.
Oh, nice.
TV show.
And where was your college? You went to college?
I went to college at UC Davis.
Okay. My daughter was UC Davis.
That's so cool. Yeah, I grew up here, went to Davis.
Picnic days?
Picnic day.
Yeah.
I remember a few of them. Don't remember a few of them.
I know. I used to take the train out there to do picnic days, and I drank a lot of kids under the table. I think I was a bit of the Frank the Tank there.
These are questions I'm supposed to ask you to make the show I heard better.
Sure. Come at
What
me.
makes you laugh?
What makes me laugh?
Yeah.
It's a great question.
Kids falling down make me laugh. So you can mention it. Yeah, I love it.
What makes me laugh? I really love unexpected interactions with strangers in the grocery store line. Like really little tiny acts of kindred spirits. That makes me laugh. Comics who I admire. Like comedy makes me laugh. What else makes me laugh? Really goofball things. Like assigning personalities to inanimate objects, when what else makes me laugh? My days in the classroom was full of laughter. I'm a big fan of like you can't make this shit up stories, what else makes me laugh? So, inappropriate things make me laugh, some I have that personality trait of where sometimes something is so shocking you don't know what to do other than kind of laugh,
like that Well, like that guy recently died. A friend's guy.
Chandler.
Yeah.
Matthew Perry.
He died in a pool, so people were doing
hot
pool,
tub, right?
But see, that's the thing. That's where I draw the line. I don't laugh.
Swimmer.
I saw there were a few people.
It is
who
crazy
did
that there were jokes that weren't people not made jokes. There were jokes within the show. Like he was talking about drowning in a hot tub on the show.
That was a foreshadow right there.
The guy, he seemed like a good guy.
Yeah.
I mean, having drug problems don't make you a bad guy. You know,
I was so sad when that news.
Because he was kind of talking about when I die, like, holy crap, is this happening, man? Come on. And then they wrote this in the script with the hot tub and him talking about drowning. Was that an ad-lib? How do we end to this right here? Jeez.
What else makes me laugh? That is a really good question. Travel moments gone terribly awry when you're retelling them later, you know? When like travel is full of snafus, or
as a comedian, we brought this up last week because Joseph Enelin, I heard you did a show with him.
Yes. So
and they're not talking about a negative. It's just hey Joseph, you should come on the show here, man. Ed, come on.
He's hilarious.
My friend Ed, he came to a show, and they were like best buddies. Like this, not like this. I want like this, not this, not this. So just don't get it confused. He said he heckling, but he was just laughing. He thought he was hilarious, and he thought he was supporting the guy. But he said, "Don't come to my show anymore." Don't come to my show anymore. You support me too much. Get out of here. You enjoy my comedy too much.
I think other people's laughter makes me laugh sometimes too. I think laughter is contagious.
What
in a
do
great
you
way.
consider a heckler? Like what do you like?
To me, that concept is more someone who. To me, that concept is more someone who, like, interjects. Because as you're a comic, you're up on stage, you have a certain cadence to things, you have a certain beat, you have a certain rhythm. You can attest to this, right? And so you have a certain rhythm, and if someone, like, interjects, like, 75% of through your set or through a bit that you're doing and, like, says something that either completely veers the topic or takes up too much time and ask to be engaged with, essentially. I mean, that can be, it can cramp your style, it can like throw you off course, but I've never actually, I don't think people heckle that often anymore because I think people know it's not cool.
They don't know how to, I guess, because they call it maybe the woke generation. Yeah, I mean, there's crowd work, but then when you're just telling someone to shut up, that's when you're like, whoa, hold on, is this guy still doing crowd work here? Or like
if you're an audience and you're viewing a comic, like if they're asking for crowd interaction, fine.
Yeah.
But if you're just like interjecting time and again, then it's just like
That's what tripped me out. Because if you're doing crowd work, you should know how to handle this stuff here, bro.
Sure. Yeah, but then I feel like there are very clear delineations between being like, yes, this is crowd work versus like this is my set.
Joseph, come on the show.
Yeah, like let me finish.
We'll talk about this, Joseph and Olin. Come on the show. We'll just talk about this.
He's one of my local favorites.
Yeah, because I don't not like it. There's people like
he's one of my absolute
if I'm telling you, come on the show.
In case if you guys are wondering why Luke is talking to the table, he's actually talking to his phone. Well, people are like looking at you, but look at you on your screen. You're looking down at the table, talking to the table.
It's a great angle of me, I gotta say.
Yeah.
He's one of my absolute favorites. He has
if I'm gonna invite you on here, because you know what? Because I do this show, bring on people that I actually want to hang out with. So if I have you here, it's because I just let's talk about this. I wouldn't invite someone on here I didn't like, because then I got to hang out with you and I don't like you. I don't think I could ever be one of those people that want to go viral or just want the like views or subs that just want that, because then I got to hang out with you.
At the end of the day, you have to ask yourself, and I'm sure you have to ask yourself this too, like, are you having fun? That's the thing. You can chase all the numbers, and you can, get all the reps in, and you can, get to all the right locations and all the right venues. But at the end of the day, like, are you having fun? Are you having fun with it? Because, like,
did we have a good time?
Yeah.
Did I feel like...
And I have to ask myself that sometimes, too. Because I get, like... I have big, like, top-of-the-class energy. I am, like, highly trainable. I set my mind out to do something. I want to do it well. And then I have to be like, whoa, am I, like, is this fun? Like, am I remembering to, like, come back down to earth and just, like,
feel like
enjoy...
I have evil laugh, yes.
What's your birth order? Are you...
I am a Leo. Oh, I'm an older sibling.
Oh, so we have a lot in common. And I'm a middle child.
Oh, interesting.
So I suffer from all middle child.
Something I'm supposed to ask you is, what's a typical Saturday night for you?
Ooh, that is a great question.
Oh, good.
Typical Saturday night. Well, recently weekends kind of blend into weekdays because of the comedy working. I work a 40-hour-a-week corporate job, and then I have comedy at night, and so, like I said, weekends kind of blend into weekdays. But a standard Saturday night would be, I've been really trying to make a concerted effort to also, I guess, live a well-balanced life, in terms of, like, being really dedicated to my craft and also, like I said, like, making time for nearest and dearest, things that have nothing to do with comedy at the same time. So a standard Saturday night would probably start out with, like, spending time with friends, maybe it's family. I'm incredibly lucky. All of my family, or my parents, are here in the Bay Area, and so I get to see them quite often. So be hanging out with friends, maybe grabbing a drink, maybe taking a walk around Lake Merritt, and then these days it's really comedy related. It's going to a show. It's either performing at a show. It's been a really fun way to explore the Bay Area. And so I'll drive to, like, Sunnyvale, or I'll drive to Newark. Or, I didn't even know there was a Newark in California. I'll drive to Newark, or I'll drive to San Jose. Or
keep that energy, because what? I'll support a comic if I feel like I like the person.
Yeah.
So, what are you afraid of, and what are your success habits? Yeah. Then we got it. Right.
What am I afraid of?
And your success habits,
I think I'm afraid of.
You got a first-time listener.
A lot of people in the creative space will share this. I think I'm afraid of not taking all the risks I should. Right? Like, not taking all the risks.
Never give up.
Exactly.
Never ever give up.
I'm afraid of walking away from something before I've seen it through and having had legs. I'm afraid. So I always love to have the illusion that I'm in control. Yes. So I'm afraid of messing up. I'm a people pleaser. I'm afraid of messing up. That is my biggest fear. And let's see. What is my routine, you said? Or what is my...
success habits.
Oh, success habits. Like things that keep me successful. Fresh air. Success habits are always... my relationships are incredibly important to me. So cultivating my relationships, always doing, like, a gut check in terms of, like, creatively, does my material feel too stale? Am I still enjoying it? Am I finding new ways to punch things up? And then I live in my head a lot. I oftentimes forget to sink into my body. So to be successful, I've always tried to really remember that, like we said earlier, we're just a bunch of little cells being held together. And so I have one of the things I love the most about where I live in Oakland is I have a backyard. And so if I feel like I'm getting too in my head or too cerebral, I will just pour a cup of coffee, grab my dog, go in the backyard, watch the butterflies.
I'm a hummingbird watcher.
Exactly. And just remember that it all starts with, like, our basic human needs, So it's to try and... My success habits are when I'm trying to go too fast to slow down. And that is my life's work, to be honest. Mm-hmm. That is my life's work.
Yeah, so it's this time.
What a mask.
Another... We got Matthew Perry. Richard Mole. It's like a death every week, so you're gonna have every week will be a death week.
Richard Mole just passed.
Wait, yeah, that's.
Is that what you just said?
Netcore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mole.
Bull. Yeah.
Shannon.
He came to my class once. And if you saw the news, there was a guy who got stabbed to death out here in the mission. I saw him 3 hours before that. He rest in peace, Angel. I don't know. He was cool to me, but things happen. And he said confrontation, and I believe he's a big guy. He's traditional. He's a big guy, but he never wanted to fight with like weapons. It seems like he always used his fists, and the other guy used the knife. And but on the news, it's like there's a lot of stuff that day. But there's going to be a void every night. Because you see that guy every night came into the store like, hey, how's it going? There's more and more voids in the store with the regulars. You're glad to get to know certain people before they pass. I almost had Sean Boyles was going to be on the show last week, and he passed away. Probably before your time there, Haley.
I didn't have the pleasure of meeting him, but I know what a impactful mark he left on.
Great guy, because he wasn't just a comedian. He was in all sorts of outlets.
And it seemed like he had a huge heart, too, that touched a lot of people.
Oh. And next week is going to be just all comedians. All comedians. So I guess I got to think of something to say. So plugs. Or pugs if you got them. Bring them out. Just plug some.
Thanks a lot.
Hold that up for him. Luke, can you
hold that up? Thanks for having me again. It was a lot of fun. A lot of fun meeting you too.
So fun.
If you want to learn more about me, go to my website, markrclifford.com. That's Mark R. Clifford, like the big red dog.com. You can find out about what I've been up to, what I'm doing. You can read the Fucking Bucket. You can read more about the animation. You can read more about my next book that's coming out, Earthquake Coast. So enjoy. Thank you very much.
All right. Haley.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure getting to know you. It's been a pleasure hearing about your work. Thanks for the warm welcome here on the show. You can follow me on Instagram at Haley Donovan Comedy. There you'll be able to see all of my upcoming shows, some of my more recent reels, all of the everything that is planned for the next couple of weeks and months. I'm also part of a co-production squad here in the Bay Area. You can follow us at HM Bay Area. The HM is for High Maintenance Productions because it takes work to produce shows that are fun to watch, right? And we take pride. And so again, that's at HM Bay Area. My handle is Haley Donovan Comedy, and would love to see you anywhere around the Bay.
Oh yeah, you hang with good people, it seems.
I feel incredibly blessed. It's all about the people you get to have in your orbit, right?
Show with the Dash. Oh wait, I mean we can be done now. But yeah, you did show with the Dash. He was here last week.
With Dash Renaud, he's great. Yeah.
All right,
he's
until
the lawyer.
Next week.
He's the lawyer.
Isn't that cool? Yeah.
Oh,
thank you, everyone.
And here goes your cat. This is the part you love, right? This is the part you love. So here's Luke's cat, and we are out.
Yeah, that's her right there.